History of the State of Ohio. Prehistoric period. Fossil which dated in the 11,000s BC indicate that Paleoindians Indians hunted large animals, including Jefferson's ground sloth, using some tools. Later ancestors of Native Americans were known as Arapacic people. Sophisticated successive cultures such as the Allenda, Hopewell, and Fort Ancient built monumental earthworks such as massive monuments, some of which have survived to the present. The late Archaic period featured the development of focal substances, economies, and recollegation. European colonization. In the 17th century, the French were the first modern Europeans to explore what became known as Ohio country. In 1663, it became part of New France, a royal province of the French Empire, and northern eastern Ohio was further explored by Robert La Salle in 1669. During the 18th century, the French set up a system of trading posts to control the fur trade in the region, linked to their settlements in present-day Canada and what they are now called as Illinois and the county of Mississippi. Territory and statehood. Starting even before the war and accelerating with the establishment of Fort Henry across the Ohio River in West Virginia, numerous settlers encroached on Indian lands west of the Ohio River in a broad arc from west of Fort Henry as far as upriver, where Fort Steuben, today is called Stephenville, was later established. That was their continuous occupation of such lands is certain. The location and continuity of any particular settlement, at least a few of which were referred today as loosely towns, is in much doubt. Industrialization. Throughout much of the 19th century, industry was rapidly introduced to the complement of existing agricultural economy. One of the first iron manufacturing plants opened near Youngstown in 1804, called Hopewell Furnace. By the mid-19th century, 48 blast furnaces were operating in the state, most of in southern portions of the state. Discovery of coal deposits aided from further development of steel industry in the state, and by 1853, Cleveland was the third largest iron and steel producer in the country. Social history. Rural Ohio in the 19th century was noted for its religious diversity, tolerance, and pluralism. According to Smith, whose many active dominations, no one dominated and increasingly tolerance the name of the norm. Germans from Pennsylvania and Germany brought Lutheran and Reformed churches and numerous smaller sects, such as the Amish. Yankees brought Presbyterians and Congregationalists. Revivals during the Great Yankee Awakening spurred the growth of the Methodist, Baptist, and Christian churches. Civil War. During the Civil War, Ohio played a key role in providing troops, military officers, and supplies to the Union Army. Due to its central location and burgeoning population, Ohio was both particularly and logistically important for the war effort. Despite the state's boasting a number of very powerful Republican politicians, it was divided politically. Portions of Ohio followed the Peace Democrats under Clement Vallandigham, openly oppressed President Lincoln's policies. Politics. In 1820, the legislature then passed the legislation which has nullified the federal court and officer as well as the operations of the Bank of the United States within their borders. The state ignored the further federal court orders, writs, and denied immunities to the federal government. Their actions were considered the complete destruction of the federal standing in the state and attempted to overthrow of the federal government. Ohio was forcefully applied to their iron law against the federal government until 1824. Summary. Ohio's diverse population and very different traditions from other states in the Union made it one of the greatest powers during the Civil War. Ohio still thrives today as a booming state inside of the Union. This concludes the history of Ohio.